Right, guys, so those who were following on for the foundation paper earlier on, the rest of the foundation paper will be done in this video. If you're just starting with the intermediate one, okay, what you'll need is a blank copy of the intermediate paper, or those that did it and those that recognise it, a copy of your paper one mock that you just did in my school the other week. Okay, so if you're looking for a blank copy of this paper, it is available on the WGCSE website, or you can get a copy from me in school. Okay, it's up to you. So you need a blank copy. So the best way to use this as a resource, okay, is not just to mindlessly watch me do it. The best way to do it, get a question in front of you. Start with question one, get question one in front of you, have a go yourself. Pause the video, have a go yourself, and then as soon as you've finished, play the video, and then you're going to mark what you've done, and you're going to fill in, and if you got it wrong, if you got it right, just mark it and add up the answers as you go. If you got it wrong, I want you to fill it in with your purple progress pen, okay? So if you have made a mistake, it doesn't matter, okay? Just fill it in with your purple pen, and then you'll see, and you'll repeat that step every single time you do a question, okay? So you're going to repeat it for question 2. You're going to do it yourself, watch the video, see how you got on, and do that all the way through. I wouldn't do any more than 9 or 10 in one sitting, because you'll get bored and you lose concentration and you'll burn out, okay? So do about 9 or 10 questions like that. Go and have a break, go and have an hour, do something different, and then come back and finish the paper off. And that's your revision done for the day. Okay, first question, really nice question to start you off, okay? It's true or false, but what we're going to do, instead of just looking at these and just trying to work out if they're true or false, I'm going to work them out for myself at the bottom, okay, and I can compare it to this answer. So the first one, I've got 23, take away 4, add 2, all times by 3. Okay, now if we're doing this, I always do my brackets first. It's bid maths, so 4 plus 2 is 6, times by 3, 23 moves down to the next line. 6 times 3 is 18, 23, take away 18, does give me 5. Okay, so that's true. Next one. Again, I'm going to work it out similar to what I just did. I've got 7 over 10 plus 2 over 5. I'm just going to work it out as if it's a normal question, and I'm not going to worry about the equal sign at the top. Now, I can't do 7 over 10 plus 2 over 5 because the denominators are different. I want to make them the same, so I'm going to times this one on the right-hand side by 2. I'm going to leave this one on the left exactly as it is. 2 times 2 is 4, 5 times 2 is 10. 7 plus 4 is 11, and the bottoms, you don't add them together, you just leave them the same, okay? So 10 stays in the answer. 11 over 10, they got 9 over 15, so they're wrong. Okay, that's all it is. On the next one, I'm not going to go down the bottom, but I'm going to stay up here. 1 over 2 of 1 over 8. Of just means times, okay, in maths. All it means is times. When you times in fractions, you times the top. 1 times 1 is 1, so the top half is correct. And you times the bottoms as well. 2 times 8 would give me 16. Okay, so I should get 1 over 16. They got 1 over 4, so they are false. They are wrong. They're incorrect. Okay. The third one, 25% of 0.4. Okay, 25% of 0.4. 25% is the same as doing a quarter. A quarter of 0.4 is 0.1, so that's true. Last one, a bit more bid maths, okay? I'm not going to go down the bottom because I think I can get it all, fit it all in up here. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 5 moves down, 28 moves down. 28 take away 6 is 22. Add on 5 is 27, so that one is incorrect, so that's false. Okay, that's first page done. 3 marks. Question 2. Okay, question 2. Again, if you want to do it the way I suggested, pause the video now, have a go yourself, and then play it when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, so question 2. Frequency table first, really easy, okay? I've got yellow, numbers less than 100. These are the signs that are going to throw you. That means less than, that means greater than or equal to. So that one includes 100 as well. So the first one's number less than 100, I should get 8. So I'm just going to do this myself just to practice. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that is correct. Okay, that's it. The reason I did that is because I want to get rid of those numbers on the top. because it'll mean we only have to count 3, and then the last one should be done for us. So numbers greater than or equal to 100, but are also yellow. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 7 goes in this box. That's them done. Next is blue. Similar thing to what we did on yellow, but it's less than 100 this time. Blue, less than 100. I got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, last one, as I said, like it's done for us. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's 6 there. Okay, so down the bottom, how can you use your table to check all the balls have been counted? In the question, it tells us there's 25 balls, so they should add to 25. That's how we know. Okay, so they'll add up to 25. 25 balls are placed in a box. One ball is chosen at random. What's the probability it's a yellow ball? So what's the probability it's a yellow ball less than 100? Yellow less than 100 is 8. So it's just 8 out of the total, which is 25. Okay. Next page. So we're on question 3 now. Again, if you want to pause the video at this point, you can. Have a go yourself, and if you're wrong, that's fine. You can just correct it when my answer comes on. So shade 1 square. So the diagram below has rotational symmetry of order 2. Order 2 means if you turn the page, keep turning the page, it'll look the same twice. So it should look the same by there, and will look the same again. Okay, so essentially you want some sort of symmetry, so it looks the same if you turn it twice. I'm going to colour one in by here. Okay, so if I turn this now, it looks the same there, once, and then twice back to the start. So that's 1 square, and there's rotational symmetry of order 2. Next one, it says shade 2 squares, so it has rotational symmetry of order 4. So that means whatever happens, this top line, if I keep turning this, because I know this box is shaded, this top line will have to look the same if I keep turning it. So I'm going to shade 1 across. Every single time I turn my page, I'm going to shade 1 box to the left. Same thing again. We go 1 across. And then that one's already done for us. And you can see now, it has rotational symmetry of order 4. If I turn it, it'll look the same 4 times. Similar thing on the bottom. This is rotational symmetry of order 3 now. So essentially we want to make kind of a T shape with the E-slot. If I colour that in, colour that in as well. Just to check, I'm going to keep this as my first one. So if I turn it once, twice, oh, there's a fly on the page, 3 times. Okay, so it looks the same 3 times, so that's perfect. Question 4, okay, so a bit of sequences work. Again, if you want to pause the video now, you can. Write down the next 2 numbers in the following sequence, okay? So on sequences, your first step every single time is to do the jumps. Okay, so looking at these jumps by here, this is adding 4 each time. -7 add 4 is -3. -3 add 4 is +1. Okay, if you ever struggle with negative numbers, just do a number line on the side of your page, okay? There's no shame in it, and count up with your fingers. So rods are used to make a sequence of number patterns as shown below. Okay, once they give you a picture and the sequences, okay, always write down the numbers. Turn it into a number sequence, okay? Don't try and do it the way they give it to you. That'll confuse you. Okay, so on this one, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 rods in pattern 1. In this one, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 rods in pattern 2. In this one, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 rods. And that makes sense because this is going up in fives. Okay, so pattern 1 uses 6 rods. Okay, I've done that. How many rods are required in pattern 4, which would be the next pattern? So if it's going up in fives, I've got 16 on pattern 3. I'm adding 5 on, so pattern 4 will have 21 rods. Pattern 37 requires 186 rods. How many rods are required in the next pattern, pattern 38? Nothing changes. It's going up in fives. Okay, so if it's going up in fives here, and I add 5 on to 186, I end up with 191 rods in pattern 38. Now the end question, if they tag a question on the end in sequences, they're going to do it to confuse you, okay? It's not going to be a linear sequence like this. It's going to be something to do with times and divide. Now if I look at these, I'm not going to do my jump started from here. I'm going to start with these two end numbers, okay? 27 divided by, to 9, okay? If you do the jumps normally, you'll see that actually it doesn't work in a proper way. 27 to 9 and 81 to 27, I can see a pattern here. I can see it's dividing by 3 each time. And I can just see that, okay? So if it doesn't make sense and it's not going down the same amount each time, think times and divide. This one is dividing by 3 each time. It says describe it in words. So I'm going to write divide by 3. Okay, that's question 4 done. Okay, so really straightforward at the start of the paper. So, in this question, you can only use add and subtract, and you've got to use the numbers 3 and 7 to make new numbers. Okay, so they've given us an example by here to make 11. First one, they want us to make the number 2. Okay, so making the number 2 using 3s and 7s. Okay, I don't know what it is first off, but I'm just going to try some. I'm going to try some numbers and see how I get on. Okay, so 7 plus 7 gives me 14. 14 take away 3 is 11. Take away 3 equals 11 take away 3 gives me 8. 8 take away 3 gives me 5. And 5 take away 3 leaves me with 2. So that was 2 7s. Oh, that was 2 7s. Take away 3. Take away 3. Take away 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take away 3 again. And I end up with the number 2. Okay, it's quite a straightforward one to start you off. And all this is just trial and error until you get to these numbers. Okay, I've got 8 now. So, because 8 came up earlier on, I'm going to use my working out from earlier on. So 7, add 7 is 14. Take away 3 once, take away 3 again, gives me the answer 8. Cool. Right, 19 now. Okay, so I'm going to have to go a little bit higher this time. Again, it is a case of trial and error. So I'm going to do 7 plus 7 plus 7 is 21. Again, that's still a little bit too small. Okay, because 21 take away 3 give me 18. So I'm going to add 7 on again, gives me 28. Now take away 3. 28 take away 3 is 25. Take away 3 again is 22. Take away 3 again is 19. Okay, I kind of knew that one looking at it, but it is a case of trial and error. We just add and take away, so there's no excuse to get these questions wrong at all. Okay, really easy marks, just trial and error until you get to the right answer. Question 6. So a Venn diagram is used to display the following information. Again, pause it at this point if you want to, if you decide that you want to have a go yourself first. The universal set, don't worry about the words, okay, they're just there to confuse you, is a set of numbers from 10 to 20 inclusive. So I've got to use the numbers 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Set A is these list of numbers by here. Set B is multiples. That means times table of 3. Okay, so just any numbers in the 3 times table. Draw the Venn diagram to show the information above. So I'm going to draw 2 circles. These don't have to be neat. Okay, they can be, but they don't have to be. So I've got set A. Set A is those numbers by there. I've got to be those numbers. And set B is anything in the 3 times table. So 10 is my first number. I'm going to work from 10 all the way up to 20. 10 isn't in these list of numbers, and it's not in the 3 times table, so 10 you're going to go outside. 11 is in set A, and it's not in the 3 times table, so that's going to go on the inside by there. 12 is in the 3 times table, but it's not in that list, so 12 is going to go over here. 13 is in those set of numbers, so it's going to go over here, but it's not in the 3 times table. 14 is in that set of numbers, but it's not in the 3 times table. 15 is in the 3 times table, but it's not in that list of numbers. 16 is in neither, so it's going to go on the outside. 17 is in neither, so it's going to go on the outside. 18 is the only one that's going to go in both. 19 is in neither, so it's going to go on the outside. And then 20 is just in set A. That's going to go on the inside by there. It hasn't asked you, it normally tags a probability question on the end. It hasn't in this case, so you can just leave that and that's your final answer for 4 marks. Okay, you get an extra couple of marks because you're drawing the Venn diagram yourself. 7, okay, get onto the algebra section of this paper. Now, this is easy algebra, so this is not stuff we should be getting wrong. Okay, so I've got 10A take away 15. The way I see it, the way I teach it in my classes, I always put it under a bus stop. So I've got 10A take away 15 underneath my bus stop. Now, I can't take a letter out of both sides, okay? I can't do it because there's not an A attached to the 15, but I can take a number out. If you look at 10 and 15, the biggest thing that goes into both is 5. Okay, 5 goes into both of these things. Okay, so 10 divided by 5 gives me 2. There's no A out the front, so A just goes up top. Whatever the sign is goes up top, and 15 divided by 5 gives me 3. So my answer, when I put, for all factorising means is put it back into brackets, my answer is 5 on the outside, and 2A take away 3 on the inside of my bracket, and that's it. Underneath I got some super easy solving equations. Okay, so 7b, x divided by 7 is 21. If I want to get rid of that divided by 7, I've got to times by 7 to both sides. If I times by 7 on the left, I get x. If I times by 7 on the right, 20 times 7 is 140. And if you add on 7 units, you get 147. Okay, 7b part 2. Again, we've got straightforward solving equations, but there's more going on now. There's a letter in both sides and there's a number in both sides. But if you follow the same processes every single time, you can't go wrong. Okay, now my first step with this will always be to take away the smaller number, because I only want take away the smaller letter, because I only want letters on one side. So I'm going to take away 6f from both sides first, because I want to get rid of that, and I only want letters on both one side, because otherwise it'll confuse me. 13f take away 6f is 7f, plus 2 moves straight down. 6f take away 6f is nothing, and 5 is on the end. 7f plus 2 is 5, okay. Take away 2 from both sides this time. 7f moves straight down. 5 take away 2 is 3. Now I want f on its own, so I'm going to divide by 7 to get f on its own. And with f equals... Now I can't work that out in my head, I'm not good enough at maths, okay? What I can do is just write my answer as 3 over 7. Okay, that'll be fine. There's no problem with that. There's no shame in it, okay? It's still correct. It's still full marks, okay? If it was in a calculator paper, they'd probably expect you to work it out yourself. Because it's not, just leave it as that, and that's absolutely fine. Part C, okay? Don't get confused by this word. Don't get confused by the word integer, okay? All that means is number. Okay, that's all that means. Okay, so you can just cross that out and write number. N is a number, and it makes more sense then. Tick the correct statement below. You must give an explanation for your decision. 5n take away 3 is always an even number. It's always odd, or it could be an even or odd number. Okay, when they say explanation, it can be mathematical. So what I'd suggest doing, n is just a number, so you can put a number in replacement for n, work it out, and it'll give you certain answers. And the answers are going to tell us which box is correct. So I'm going to start with the number 1. 5 times 1 take away 3. So all I've done is replace n with the number 1. 5 times 1 is 5, take away 3 is 2. Okay, that's even. Now I'm going to try the number 2. 5 times 2, take away 3. 5 times 2 is 10, take away 3 is 7. That's odd. But I'm going to try one more just in case I made a mistake. 5 times 3, take away 3. 5 times 3 is 15, take away 3 gives me 12. Okay, so I've got an even, an odd, and an even. So it's going to be this one because it could give you any of the 3. Okay, it's not necessarily even every time, not necessarily odd every time. It could be either one. Okay, that's 7 done. It's very, very straightforward. 6 marks. Okay, we're starting to get on the shape stuff. Okay, the shape stuff is difficult. Okay, it can be difficult, but this is quite a straightforward one. It just looks complicated. Now, at the top, you got this in this question. You'll be assessed on the quality of your organisation, communication, and accuracy in writing. Now, In the diagram below, ABCD is a square, CDE is a right angle triangle. This bit at the top, all that means is you just got to explain your steps as you go. So if I'm doing something good, I'm going to write it down. Now, you must calculate the area of the whole shape. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to write down what I know about triangles and what I know about rectangles. So I've got area of a triangle. I know, and you will have to know this, is base times height divided by 2. I know area of a rectangle is the easy one. Length times width. Okay, so I know those two things. So I'm going to write them down straight away. That may help me get in those two extra marks at the top. Now, you must calculate the area of the whole shape. Okay, they've given us the height of the triangle, so we know that. We don't know the base, and we do know. Oh no, hang on, it's not even a rectangle, it's a square. So I didn't read the question correctly. It's a square, so that means once we know the base, I know that is the same as that. So once we know that, we're sorted. So we're going to focus on this triangle at the top first. Now, so my area of my triangle, I know that's 14. I don't know my base, but I know my height is 4 all over 2. Now what I've done, I've set up really basic solving equations. Okay, so we're going to do the same as we did on the last page. We're going to times both sides by 2. Okay, the left hand side is 28. This side just leaves me with, gets rid of those. 4b is 28, and then I'm going to divide through by 4. I'm going to label this, I didn't do it earlier on, but I'm going to say that's the area of the triangle. Only because these extra 2 marks are for being really clear with your working. So I know what the base is now. I'm going to draw a line down here. Area of my square, okay, is length times width. Okay, I'm going to label these as 7 because I've just worked them out as 7. My length is 7, my width is 7. So my area of my square is 49 centimeters squared. And I'm going to draw another line by here just so I know I'm sectioning my work off really clearly. Now, area of my square was 49. In the question, they told me the area of the triangle was 14. Total area is going to be 49 plus 14, which off the top of my head is 63 centimeters squared. Okay, very good, very straightforward question. All you really need to know, area of a triangle, area of a rectangle. But there's a lot going on here, okay? So take your time with it. These big mark questions are the ones you really want to get right. Okay, so you will get a parallel lines question. Again, if you want to pause it now, you can. This is quite easy, okay? It looks horrible, but it's really straightforward, okay? I'm going to start up here and I'm going to work my way down slowly. So, this one up here, okay? I've got 2 lines crossing from the corners of the rectangle. What that means is, that means this and this form an isosceles triangle. So that means if I got 110 by there, A and the other corner are exactly the same angle. And if I take this away from 180, so I'm going to do my working up here on this one because I don't want to lose it down there. 180, take away 110, gives me 70. So A and this one by here, that's going to be A as well. They both add up to 70. 70 divided by 2 is 35. So A is 35. Okay, there's other bits I can label now as I work my way down. I know this is a right angle because it's 2 corners joining on parallel lines. So that's 90 degrees. That's 35, that's 90. 90 plus 35 gives me 125. That's 125. This is a perfectly straight line. Angles on a straight line, it doesn't say you have to justify it, but angles on a straight line equal 180. So 180, take away 125, gives me 55. So B is 55. Okay, so you're working your way down. You don't really need to know many rules other than that makes an isosceles triangle, that's a right angle, angles on a straight line make 180, and also angles in a triangle make 180 as well. So that's 55. That's got to be 90 in the corner. 55 plus 90. Again, my working isn't very well laid out, but I'm a messy person, so you just got to embrace it. 5 plus 9 is 14, and 1. So 145. So this angle in there, if these two angles make 145, 180, take away 145, that angle in there is 35. Now, very last step, that angle in there is 35. Angles on a straight line again equal 180. 180, take away 35, should give me 145. So angle C is 145. So when you put your answers in the bottom, always put them in the bottom. I got angle A is 35. Angle B, I got 55. And angle C is 145. Okay, so you want to make those really clear down the bottom of your paper. Okay, I know my working is a little bit all over the place, but that's how you've kind of got to do it. I like to label the diagram as well if you get an angles or shape question. Okay, we're on question 10 now. We're getting towards the higher tier paper. I think this is the start of where higher tier begins. Okay, so they're getting more difficult questions, but they're very accessible. Okay, you just got to kind of learn the topics. Prime factor trees. Really, really easy question. Okay, they haven't given you an easy number, but we've all done these before. You just got to recognize it when you see it. Prime factor trees is when you split them up into prime numbers that times to make the number above. 315 now. I'm sat in the exam. I don't know off the top of my head factors of 315. No one does. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, and I know there's a 5 on the end. So if I want to divide 315 by something, I'm going to try 5. 5 into 3 doesn't go. 5 goes into 31 6 times, remainder 1. 5 goes into 15 3 times. Okay, cool. So I can split that into a 63 and a 5. I'm going to circle my 5 because it's prime. 63 is in the 9 times table. 7 times 9 makes 63. So I'm going to circle 7. And 9, 3 times 3. It's worth checking over this, okay, because it's easy to make mistakes with this. It's really easy, okay, and you could time stuff by the wrong thing. And it's a waste of, it's worth 3 marks, it's a waste otherwise. So when it says in index form, that's where you've got to kind of write it. So instead of writing it 3 times 3 times 5 times 7, gives me 315. I'm going to put this bit and condense it into 3 squared. 3 squared times by 5 times by 7 equals 315. That's the job done, 3 marks. Okay, down the bottom now, it'll always link it to either highest common factor or lowest common multiple of the number you worked out at top and a different number. So it says it wants the highest common factor of 315 and 42. Now, I got 42 by here. I've done 315. You need to do this prime factor decomposition to 42 as well. So I'm going to do that over here somewhere. 42. Okay, 42 is easy. 7 and 6. And 2 and 3. Now, this is the bit where it gets a little bit tricky. Okay, I'm going to take the 42 and the 315, and I'm going to make a Venn diagram with all the prime numbers from earlier on. So I've got 315, 42. Okay, 42, you're looking for the numbers that are in both lists. Okay, if I look at both of my trees, I've got a 3 and a 3, so there's going to be 1, 3 in the middle. I'm going to cross them out. I've got no 2s, and I've got a 7 and a 7, so there's a 7 in both. And then you fill in the ones that are left, 5 and a 3, and then a 2. So the ones that are in both lists go in the middle, the ones that are left just go in the edges by there. Now the HCF is the stuff in the middle. The HCF is the stuff in the middle times together, so 3 times 7, the highest common factor of 42 and 315 is 21. Okay, now you can work that out off the top of your head if you want to write down all the factors of 315 and all the factors of 42. You can do it that way. It's totally up to you. Okay, complete the table below. Draw the graph y equals 3x squared, take away 25 for the values of x between minus 3 and 4. Okay, really nice question, right? Really nice question. These are quite easy, I think. What I suggest doing, fill this in before you try this, okay? Because normally I'd say plot your points you don't know, but we haven't got an axis for the y-axis, so it'd be really important to make sure we know what this number is first. So they've got, this is our equation, 3x squared, take away 25. Now to find this gap, we're going to substitute this number minus 2 in as the x value. So I'm going to do 3 times by minus 2 squared, all take away 25. Okay, minus 2, I'm going to do it in order. Okay, bid mass is really important on this. It's easy to get wrong. Minus 2 times minus 2 squared, is positive 4. Anything I haven't used moves to the next line. 3 times 4 is 12. Minus 25 on the end. 12 take away 25 is minus 13. So minus 13 is going in up there. Okay, once we're here now, we're going to go through each bit. Okay, we need to label our y-axis first. So if you look at your y values, they go all the way down to minus 25 and up to positive 23. So looking at my axis, I reckon if I go up in tens, I'll be safe. That looks about right. So I'm going to take each point and I'm going to plot it. So first I got minus 3 and positive 2, minus 3, positive 2. Then I got minus 2 and minus 13. Then I got minus 1 and minus 22. I'll try and get both in the picture, sorry if I don't. And I've got 0 and minus 25. I've got positive 1 and minus 22. Positive 2 and minus 13. And I've got positive 3 and positive 2. And then 4 and 23. Okay, so it should make a nice U shape. It does, mine does. Okay, I'm going to use a pencil because on the foundation paper I made some pencil mistakes. Okay, I hope that comes through clearly. I've joined all the points up with a smooth curve. Okay, x squared graphs, so anything with x squared in it always makes a nice U shape. So if it doesn't and the point you've put in is up there, you've made a mistake. You need to check your workings out. Okay, it's a nice one where you can always check you're working with this. Okay, that's 4 marks, really straightforward. So another angles question. Okay, again, these are really easy. So what I'm going to do, they've joined this line up here. They want to know they've got a regular octagon with center 0 as shown below. So when it says regular, it means all of these things are the same size. Calculate the exact size of OAB. That means this angle in there. You may choose to draw additional lines on your diagram to help you. This is telling you what to do. Now what I'm going to do to make it nice and pretty, I'm going to join these up. Okay, now what you've got by here with these two, because it's a regular octagon, you've got an isosceles triangle. These two angles are exactly the same. This is the one we need to work out. Now, because it's an octagon, I've made 8 isosceles triangles. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that little bit in there. Okay, if I do 360, which is the size of the angles in the whole thing, 360 divided by 8. 8 doesn't go into 3. 8 goes into 36 9 times. 8 doesn't go into 0. Oh no, that's my working that out is incorrect there. 8 doesn't go into 3. I was thinking of 4. 8 goes into 36 4 times, remainder 4. 8 goes into 45 times. Okay, cool. I was thinking of the 4 going into 36. My mistake. So that means that angle in there is 45 degrees. Okay, that's 45. Now, angles in a triangle equal 180. We know these two are equal. So I do 180, take away 45. 10 take away 5 is 5. 7 take away 4 is 3. 1 take away that is 135. Now, what it's telling us is these two angles are equal to 135 because they're exactly the same. So I'm going to have to divide 135 by 2 if I want to find out what those angles are. 135 divided by 2. 2 doesn't go into 1. 2 goes into 13 6 times, made to 1. 2 goes into 15 7 times. Now, because there's a remainder, I put a decimal point by here, put a 0 by there. It goes in 7 times, remainder 1. And that goes into 10 5 times. I'm going to put a decimal point, it's going to move straight up. So my answer for OAB is 67.5. Okay, so it's a little bit more complicated, that one. But remember, angles in a circle, make 360. I divide that 8 ways, and then this is just an isosceles triangle. Okay, so that's basic angle work. Right, these are the ones that everyone struggles with, okay, mostly because teachers just avoid teaching it. Okay, so this is constructions. Okay, they are easy to learn. Okay, you just basically got to have someone with the patience to sit down next to you and do it. So the point P is such that P lies on the perpendicular bisector of line AB, and BAP is 30 degrees. So what I'm saying is, I'm going to have a straight line up there, I'm going to have a 30-degree angle that way, and somewhere over here they're going to cross, and that'll be point P. Now, I'm going to do the 30-degree one first, so you have to listen really carefully, and it may be worth pausing the video a couple of times to get this right. So I'm going to open my compass up to, it's going to be a long way. It's not going to be quite the length of this line. It's going to be about, I'm going to draw a little dash by there. Okay, so it's going to be to there. I'm going to open my compass up the length of the line I just made. Then, once I've done that, I'm going to draw a construction arc that way. And I'm going to do the same thing from the dash I just made. Now what I've got, if I take my ruler and join those two up, I've just made a 60-degree angle there. Okay, that's 60 degrees. Now if you want to make a 30-degree one, you've got to take this 60-degree angle and bisect it. Now the way you bisect an angle, you can take your compass to whatever distance you want. Okay, you put it on the point and you try and cross the two straight lines that you're working with. So I got a cross there and I got a cross there. And you keep your compass exactly the same as you started with. You put your point on one of the crosses, draw an arc in. Oh, you want to try and keep it as steady as possible. Draw an arc in the middle. Do the same thing on the other side, pointy bit by there. Draw another arc in the middle. And then once you've done that, you've cut your 60-degree angle right down the middle without breaking your pencil. And that has made a 30-degree angle. Got there? Okay, once you've done that, you need to bisect this line. Now what that means is you need to go straight to the middle of this line. Now it's quite a big line, so if you want to go straight to the middle, when it says perpendicular bisector as well, you want to try and get the whole line is 14 centimeters long. So I'm going to make a mark at 2 and I'm going to make a mark at 12 because my compass isn't going to be long enough to stretch to the whole line. So these are going to be my 2 points. Now I'm going to take my compass out to just over halfway over my halfway mark, and I'm going to draw a curve. I'm going to do the same thing on my other point. I'm going to draw a curve. Once we're there, I'm going to take my ruler and pencil, and where my 2 curves cross, I'm going to draw a line straight up. Now, this bit by here is your point P, where my 30-degree line crossed with my perpendicular line. That's your point P. Okay, so if you want to see that done slower, okay, pause the video, start it again, and maybe one you need to watch a couple of times, okay? Next one, really easy question. Now, we're quite deep into the paper, so we shouldn't really be getting easy questions coming up, but we have. Okay, estimate. Estimate means make it easier for yourself. Now, 30.21, 1.98, and 0.49 are all horrible numbers. I'm going to make them into easier numbers. 30.21, I'm going to make that into 30. 1.98, I'm going to make into the number 2. And 0.49, I'm going to make into 0.5. Much easier numbers. Now, let's work it out exactly as we would normally. 2 to the power of 3 is 8. 30 times by 8, 3 times 8 is 21. Add a 0 on, is 210. No, 240, sorry. 3 times 8 is 24. Add a 0 on is 240. Anything divided by 0.5, if you want to know how many halves go into it, is always just like, it's the same as doubling a number. So anything divided by 0.5, you just double it, gives us an answer of 480 as an estimate. Okay, really easy 3 marks. Well, now this is a difficult question, okay? Normally, they give us, when they give you a question on relative frequency, always look for these keywords so you know what topic you're dealing with. When they give you a question on relative frequency, it's normally really easy. You normally get a graph. This one is a little bit of a nasty question. So, relative frequency just means probability. Now, Anglesey show 2-day event held every August. On the first day, a random sample of 200,000 visitors were asked, do you live in Anglesey? 640 answered yes. What's the relative frequency of someone answering yes? So, it's 640 out of 2,000. Now, if we had a calculator, obviously that would be easy to put into a probability. Now, when you're dealing with relative frequency, it's always as a decimal. So if I want to put this as a probability as a decimal, I need it to be 100 on the bottom of the fraction so I can make it into a decimal really easily. Cancelling this down, if I cancel that down, I end up with 64 over 200. I want to make 100 on the bottom, so I'm just going to divide by 2 top and bottom. 64 divided by 2 is 32. 200 divided by 2 is 100. 32 over 100, which is the same as 0.32. That's your relative frequency. Okay, now on the second one, on the second day, a random sample of 3,000 visitors at the show were asked the same question. The relative frequency, those who answered yes on this day were 0.42. Calculate the relative frequency of those who said they lived in Anglesey when the samples of both days were combined. And now that is what makes this question difficult. Okay, they're combining the days. But on the second one, they've given us 0.42 of these 3,000 visitors. So that's what makes it challenging. Okay, because they've given, instead of giving us the totals of who said yes, they've given us this. That's what makes it difficult. So 0.42 of 3,000. Again, if we had a calculator, it would be easy. So I'm going to work out 42% of 3,000. Okay, 10%, because I haven't got a calculator, I'm thinking of the easiest way to do it. 10% of 3,000 is 300. 1% of 3,000 is 30. I need to make 42%. I need 4 of these and 2 of these. 4 300s and 2 30s give you 12,060. That's 42%. It's not finished yet. Okay, that's not the whole question done. That's 42%. Once you know that, and you know on the first day 640 people answered yes, I need to add them together. So I've got 640 plus 1,260. If I add those two together, I get 1,900 people. 1,900 people answered yes, out of a total of 3,000 second day, 2,000 on the first day. So it's 1,900 out of a total of 5,000. Calculate the relative frequency of those who answered yes and lived in Anglesey when both days are combined. So, if I want to do that, okay, I've got 1,900 over 5,000. Okay, if I want to do that, I'm going to cancel this down all the way down to get 19 over 50. And then I want it over 100, so I'm going to times both by 2. I end up with 38 over 100, or 0.38. Okay, a little bit of a difficult question, a little bit of maths going on, but again, they normally give it to you quite nicely. Okay, they didn't in that one. Which of the following was most likely to give a best estimate of the relative frequencies to those visitors who wanted to go to the show in Anglesey? Your answer to part B is the best one because there were more people asked. We asked 5,000 people and answered a part B, so that's the best estimate. The more people you ask, the better estimate you'll get. Right, coming towards the end now. So, last 2 or 3 questions. Okay, so these are the difficult ones, but they are quite accessible. As I say, they're multiple choice. So, mass is written as 430 kilograms to the nearest 10 kilos. Circle the least possible value of this mass to the nearest 10 kilos. So, if you're doing upper and lower bounds, okay, the easiest way to do it is to look at the bounds they give you, nearest 10, add it on, half it, add it on, take it away. So if I half it, I get 5. If I take it away, my lower bound is 425, my upper bound is 435. Now they're after the least possible, so my answer is going to be 425 as my least possible. That's my lower bound. Next one, the time period is 22 seconds, correct to the nearest 1 second. Okay, if I half that and take it away, I get 21.5. If I half it and add it on, I get 22.5. They still want the least possible value, so 21.5 is my least possible value. The next one, population is written as 85 people, corrected in here as 5 people. Half that and take it away is 82.5. Half it and add it on is 87.5. And now by the looks of it, with the answers we've got, they've rounded. So the nearest one to 82.5 rounded up is 83 people. Coming towards the end now. So 16b. Calculate 3.4 times 10 to the minus 5 times by 7,000 in standard form. Now standard form is easy, but in order to times these numbers effectively, I need them both to be in standard form. This in standard form is 7 times 10. The decimal point has to move back 2 spaces, so it's 7 times 10 to the power of 2. Now if you're multiplying in standard form, I've got 3.4 times 10 to the minus 5 times by 7 times 10 to the 2. You take these two numbers, times them together. Now you may want to do, I don't know, it doesn't matter how you do this, but I know 7 times 3.4, 7 times 3.4 is 23.8. And then these bits by here, you've got to add these together. Now careful with your negative numbers. Minus 5 plus 2 is times 10 to the minus 3. Now this question isn't finished because that isn't in standard form. This number on the left has to be between 1 and 10. So in order for it to be between 1 and 10, the decimal point has to move 1 over. So I'll get 2.38. If I move the decimal point over 1 to the left, my power has to go up by 1. Minus 3 up by 1 is minus 2. Okay? Last two questions. Now this is where people usually come unstuck, is when you've got to form your own inequalities. Now Arthur, Sean and Kezia are all given some £1 coins. Arthur receives n pounds. Sean is given 5 times as much money as Arthur. Kezia receives 3 times as much money as Arthur, plus an extra 7. Sean was given less money than Kezia. Write down an inequality in terms of n that shows the fact that Sean received less money than Kezia. So, when they say that, start from the first line, and just every line they give you, write it down. Okay, so Arthur receives n. They've asked us for Kezia and Sean, so I'm just going to ignore Arthur for the time being, but I'm going to go Kezia and Sean. Okay, here now, so Kezia, it says Sean is given 5 times as much money as Arthur. So Sean has 5 lots as much money as Arthur, which equals 5n. Kezia receives 3 times as much as Arthur, 3n, plus an extra £7. Okay, cool, plus 7. This is the important bit. Sean was given less money. So Sean, we're doing inequalities. So Sean, the crocodile, is going to obviously eat the bigger one. So Sean is given less money. So the crocodile is going to face the bigger one, which is this one. Now they've split it up into 2 parts, but it's all the same thing. What was the greatest amount of money Arthur could have been given? Okay, we're talking about Arthur, and Arthur receives n. So we need to work out what n is. So I got 3n plus 7 is greater than 5n. So I need to solve this exactly the same way you would have solved equations, but this is just going to stay there and it's always going to point to the left. So I'm going to take away my first step. I'm going to get rid of the smaller letter. So my smaller letter is 3n, so I'm going to take away 3n from both sides. 3n take away 3n is nothing, 7 on the left. 5n take away 3n is 2n. Now I want n on its own, so I'm going to divide by 2. N 7 over 2. Now I would leave it like this, however it's an inequalities question and I kind of need to know what whole numbers are working with here. So n 2, 4, 6, so there's 3 wholes and then there's 1 half left over. This is a top heavy fraction I've turned into a mixed number. 3 wholes and a half left over. N has to be less than 3.5. So it says, what's the greatest amount of money Arthur could have? If n has to be less than this, what's the biggest whole number less than 3.5? N would have to be equal to 3. Okay, job done. Right, very last question. Okay, for some reason they've been very kind to us in this one, and they've chucked a tree diagrams question in a non-calculator paper. Tree diagrams, easiest topic. Brilliant. So, all you need to know about tree diagrams, these branches have to add up to 1 whole. Okay, each branch has to add up to 1 whole. So these have to add up to a whole, these have to add up to 1 whole as well. it tells us in the question, Leah's going to Cardiff, probability she'll go on a tour bus is 0.3, probability of Leah seeing a show at the Millennium Centre is independent, so that means these two are separate events, and the probability she goes on a tour bus and sees a show at the Millennium Centre is 0.24. That's the key bit. Now, the way to work out the probability of her going on a tour bus and going to see a show at Millennium Centre, you've got to times together. So in order to work out the probability of this, I'd have to do 0.3 times by whatever this is, and I get 0.24. I get 0.24 as an answer. 0.3 times something makes 0.24. 3 times 8 makes 24. So that's going to be 0.8. That means that's 0.8. Once I know that's 0.8, because 3 times 8 makes 24, so they told us in the question, I can fill in all my branches. 0.3 and 0.7 make one whole. 0.8, 0.2 make one whole. And these two usually repeat with these two. So that's 0.8, that'll be 0.8 as well, and that'll be 0.2. Now I'm going to keep this in front of me. If you have a look at this, calculate the probability that Leah does not go on a tour bus, these are important, and does not see a show at the Millennium Centre. So calculate the probability she doesn't go on a tour bus and doesn't see a show. That's this one and this one. Again, we've already said, working out probabilities of two independent events, I've got to times together. 0.7 times 0.2. If you times in decimals, okay, take the decimals out, ignore they're there. 7 times 2 is 14. And then if I look back to my question, I've got 2 decimal points, so I'm going to count back 1, 2, put a decimal point in my answer. Okay, paper done. Okay, so if you have enjoyed this, guys, and you have found this useful, please like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please share this with your friends. Okay, make sure you're having a go at each individual question, and please answer the GCSE question of the day and tag me in your answers on your spam account at CrossMaths.